Hello and welcome to more nerdy rodent geekery. Today, as you can see, I'm going to be looking at animated drawings. Loads of fun if you're a parent or if you just like animating things. I'm going to start out with a little bit for the noobs and then move on to the more nerdy stuff. The GitHub page is rather well documented, so I'm just going to be going through this as everything you need is there. First link we've got here is the project website. If we go and have a little look at that, that gives us some examples. So there he's got the video and the different images that he has animated. If we scroll down, installation, I'll be going through that in a minute. Using your own animated drawings, you get a little viewer as well. There's options, you can do transparent GIFs, you can have multiple characters in a scene, you can add background images, and obviously you can animate your own drawings. If you want to try it out for yourself, there's a link there, sketch.metademolab. This has been around for a while, but it's very, very easy to use. Just click on the button there to get started. Then you can upload a drawing or pick one of the ones from there. Let's just click on next. All right, fine, we'll agree with that. Finding the character there, so you've got a little bounding box. All right, we can drag that in if it's out a little bit. Let's drag that up a little bit as well. There we go. Okay, next. So we're on step 3 out of 4. Separating the character gives you all the information down there. If you want to fix the mask for it, you can draw and erase, stuff like that. But that looks absolutely fine to me. So we're going to go straight on to step 4. There it is. Finding the character joints. There's a little checklist again, so it will guide you all along the way. You can just move these. All right, let's put the eye up there, and we'll have the top of the eye up there. There we go, that's fine. Next, then you just have to pick an animation. There's one there, it's going across walking. That's absolutely fine, lovely. All right, how about if we want it waving instead? Yay, waving, excellent. So there you go, there's the website. Really, really quick and easy. There's quite a few animations there to choose from. You can pick your own picture, upload it, nothing to install, really, really easy. And with the noob stuff out of the way, let's move on to the nerd stuff. Yes, here we are. We're going to be installing this and running it. As it says there, this project has been tested with macOS Ventura 13.2.1 and Ubuntu 18.04. I'm using Ubuntu 22, so it does work on the later versions as well. They strongly recommend activating a Python virtual environment prior to installing animated drawings, and so do I, and that's exactly what I've done. Like they say there, Miniconda is a great choice, or you can just download and install the full Anaconda. Once you've got Anaconda installed, just open up your Anaconda terminal and you're ready to go with these commands. There's a nice copy and paste button up there, but I'm going to do these one by one because I have done most of this already. Now, first of all, you want to create your Conda environment. I'm going to say no there because I've created mine already. So I can move straight onto the activating step. There it is, bit of copy and paste, and I have activated. As you can see, it's changed from base to animated drawings. Next, you want to run that git clone command. I, of course, have already downloaded it, so I'm going to go straight onto CD. There it is, and now I am in the animated drawings one. Just a quick one-line install there, pip install -e dot, and that will install everything for you. Now, as you can see, I have got one package there that I've actually changed afterwards, the OpenCV Python. This was due to some issues I found that could happen when you're creating MPEG videos. This is a fully optional step, but if you do get any issues when you're creating MP4s, which we're going to do in a bit, then you may want to pip uninstall OpenCV Python and instead install the Conda Forge version of OpenCV, which includes some of the non-free codecs. Obviously, you'll have to have FFmpeg as well, and if you haven't installed it system-wide, then you can Conda install FFmpeg and you'll have it available in this environment. With everything installed, we can move down the page a little bit and start with this quick start. There, everything is set up. Let's animate some drawings. Yes, let's do that. Open a terminal and activate the animated drawings Conda environment. Well, we've already done that. We just did that above. Animated drawings is activated. Change directory into animated drawings. We've already done that too. Start up a Python interpreter and then copy and paste the following into that interpreter. Now, I'm not going to do that because I am lazy and I can't remember 2 lines all the time and going back into the README. So what I like to do instead is actually just put those 2 lines into a Python script. So there, I'm just creating the file example.py, and we'll copy and paste that in there. Let's just move that down there so we can show it's exactly the same. So I've just copied and pasted those 2 lines, and then I can run that straight away. So Python and then example.py. That'll run through, pop up this little viewer. The little viewer and then has the little person in it dancing. Look at that. Isn't that brilliant? Yay! Yay, it's working. The quick start works. The quick start works. Okay, all right, let's close that down and move on to the next step. Little scroll down here. So there we go. Yes, that works there. Like it says there is a lot happening behind the scenes here. Characters, motions, scenes, and more are controlled by the configuration files, such as the one we just ran, and you can see the different effects on that config file page there. If you have a look at that link, you'll get lots of information that looks horrifically confusing, so you will need to take a little bit of time to read through that and understand it. But basically, you've got the scene, the view, and the controller. They all have different options. We've got lots of different files as well. So you've got an MVC config file. That's one of the config files. You've got a character config file. Generally speaking, you won't need to change that very much once you've created it. A motion config file, and also a retarget config file as well. So there's lots of config files. Get ready for lots of files and directories to be opened and editing text files and things like that. So if you're not too up with editing text files, you're probably going to just want to use the website I showed earlier. All right, so this next example is practically the same, but this is going to export an MP4 video. So let's do this. Let's copy that, EI, and we'll just call this video, because why not? Video.py. There we go. And we'll copy and paste that in. There we go. Oops. Extra line at the top there. And then if I just run Python video.py, again, we'll have that viewer window pop up. But this time, instead of it appearing in there, it's actually just going to pause, and we'll see the video being generated at the bottom there, 779 frames. So this will just take a couple of seconds. All right, that's done. And as it says there, writing video into video.mp4, that directory we're in. There's the video, video.mp4. What does that look like? There it is. It's a sort of character walking across the screen there. Excellent. So there we go. So we've done that viewer thing, and we can also create these MP4 videos. Let's just close that one down for now. If we scroll down, there's also an option there, exactly the same sort of thing, just using a different configuration file to create a transparent GIF. There's an option there for headless rendering, like it says, if you're SSHing into a remote server. Now, one of the things you'll want to do, of course, is animate your own drawings. And yes, unfortunately, this is a bit of a nightmare because you have to install Docker. Fortunately, it walks you through all the different steps that you're going to need to take. So first of all, you're going to need to install Docker. So follow that link there. Install Docker Desktop, whatever operating system you're using, Mac, Windows, Linux. So install Docker Desktop, that's your step one. And then step two is to ensure Docker Desktop is running. So for me, I just go there, go to my applications, start typing Docker, assuming I can spell. There we go, there's Docker Desktop. Click that, that'll start running. There we go, we've got this little pop-up window starting the Docker engine. So make sure you've got this Docker Desktop running. And then step three is run these following commands starting from the animated drawings root directory, which is where we already are. So cd torchserve, so we're actually going to change into a different directory altogether. There we go. So we're in torchserve now. And then you want to build the Docker image. Now, I've already done this, so I'm not going to run this command, but as it says there, it will take about 10 minutes. It says 5 to 7 minutes on a MacBook Pro. Basically, I ran that command, went and had a cup of tea, came back, and it had finished. Once that Docker build command has run, you want to run this one at the end there. That's quite a long one. So let's copy that and paste this one, and that should start your Docker container. Now, in my case, obviously, I've done this before, so all I need to do is go back over here and just click the play button, and that will start the Docker container there. Next up, you need to wait around 10 seconds just for that Docker container to start, and then you can run this ping command. Basically, this just connects to the Docker container to make sure that it is doing things. It should return status healthy, just like it says there. That didn't happen for me the first time. If, like with me, after waiting the response is curl52, empty reply from server, one of two things is likely happening. You haven't waited long enough, or there isn't enough RAM. For me, it was that second option, so I had to go over here, and then there's a little cog at the top there, so you click on that, and then go over to Resources on the left-hand side, and then Advanced, and then this memory setting was down here, somewhere around 8 gig, so I did exactly as it said on the page there, set that memory to 16 gig, clicked Apply and Restart, and then I also had to go back in and restart this container as well. Right, so once you've got that container up and running and it gives you that healthy response, you can change directory once again into the examples directory and then run this command here, the Python image to animation.py drawings garlic.png. All right, let's just post that in there. And while that's doing its thing, let's show you what is happening. This is the animated drawings directory here. And we've got examples, got a little viewer there. And that should pop in with the garlic out. But we've also got this drawing here. So there's the garlic drawing. So what it's doing is it's taking this drawing, it's analyzing it, it's going to create a skeleton, and it's going to create a mask. All those things we saw in the web interface at the beginning. Basically just a nice, easy way to take any drawing and turn it into the various formats needed for this. If we have a look at that garlic out now, so there, we've got a joint overlay, so that's where it thinks the joints are. And we've got the mask, so that's the mask it made from that. Obviously, you can edit that. So if you want to open that in Photoshop or whatever your favorite paint program is, Paint, you want to fix up the mask a little bit, that's fine. You can do that now. And it has also created a little video there as well. So we've got the garlic doing the little garlic dance. Woo, yeah, garlic dance. Okay, so exactly as it says there, as you waited, the image located at drawings garlic.png was analyzed, the character detected, segmented, and rigged, and it was animated using the BVH motion data from a human actor. And as we saw, the resulting animation was saved garlic out video.gif. But what if everything goes a little bit wrong? Well, that's this next section here, fixing bad predictions. You may notice there were some additional non-video files in there. And as mentioned, if some of those files are incorrect, you can fix them. So if the mask predictions are incorrect, you can edit that in a program like Paint or Photoshop. But if the joint predictions are incorrect, then we're going to have to run this Python fix annotations to launch a web interface to visualize, correct, and update those annotations. All right, so let's do that now. So we want to copy this command here, the Python fix annotations. Let's copy and paste that in there. And this should create a little local server for us. There it is, running on that URL. Let's open up that link. And there we can fix the annotations. So we can move that down a little bit, maybe have that right on the arm. And there we go, we've got that there. And then click the submit button and that will update your character. Okay, nice and easy. Go back in here and just press Control-C, like it says, to quit out of that. And then if you want to redo it, like it says there, you can just run that Python annotations to animation on your fixed skeleton. Adding multiple characters to a scene is the next thing. Let's just take a look at this example file. So all of these things are in examples config MVC. So MVC is like the top level thing. So if we have a look at these, we'll close that up, make a bit more sense. So config MVC, and we'll have a look at the multiple characters one. There it is. Remember, right at the beginning, I mentioned all those different sections and config files. Yeah, this is where it starts to get a bit, okay. But as you get used to it, you'll get to where all these different files are. So, all right, animated characters. As you can see there, hopefully there are 2 characters. So for each character, we've got these little triplets here. So we've got a character configuration, just like that one we created from the PNG file. We've got a motion configuration and a retargeting configuration as well. So that basically takes other BVH files and converts it into the sort of things that this program is expecting. There's also a controller there, video render, as you can see, video.gif, and you can just change that to MP4. Like we did earlier, the 2 different MP4 and the GIF, that is how you create them. And exactly like it says there, If you ran that particular command, you would get those two characters doing exactly that. Same as if you wanted to add a background image. So let's have a look at that background example. We'll go over to the same place. We've got background example. I'll have a look at this file. And as you can see, it's very similar. This time we've only got one animated character. We've got the controller at the top, so it doesn't really matter what order you do these sections in. And we've also got a view section there as well that has an example background image. So just as a quick summary there, as there are a lot of different files, basically MVC has the sort of top level ones that you're going to run. You've then got these characters. So there's a lot of pre-created ones up there. There's one which has 4 legs, so you can do weird characters as well, or you've got closer to normal human-shaped ones as well. So characters, that's one set of configuration files that you'll be having a look at. Then you've got the motion configuration files as well, so lots of different files in there for motion, and the retargeting ones as well. So depending on which format your BVH file is in, you will need to use a different retargeting configuration. This will make a whole lot more sense in a minute as I go through creating some of these files from scratch. All right, so as it says here, using BVH files with different skeletons. You can use any motion clip you like as long as it is in BVH format. Now, if you're an animator, if you're used to using 3D Studio Max and Blender and all that sort of thing, then BVH files are probably second nature to you. I, however, am a complete noob, so I'm going to be taking files that other people have created, which is exactly what this retargeting option is for. They've got an example there, different BVH skeleton examples, so let's go and have a quick look at that one here. Go into the config, MVC, which is where all the top level ones are, different BVH skeleton example. All right, let's take a look at this one. So here we've got character configuration. So that's using character 3. If I put that there, we'll put that over there. Maybe this will make a little bit more sense. So characters. So that's using characters, character 3, and there is the config file. So it's using that config file for the character. So basically we're going to get that orange and yellow character. The next one is the motion one. So we'll have a look at config, motion. As you can see, there's a bunch in there. So jumping jacks is the motion that this one is going to be using. We've also got this retargeting option there, and this is using CMU1PFP. So there is the retargeting. If we have a quick look at that retargeting file, just open this with a text editor. These are all text files, so very easy to edit. We'll basically see a lot of hips and joints and right elbows and stuff. Now, for the most part, you won't need to do anything with these. This CMU PFP has been made for you. You won't have to go in there and edit or change any of those things or really understand BVH at all, unless you've got a completely foreign format and you want to convert it into something else. I'm really just showing you that so you can understand that what it's doing is converting one BVH file skeleton into this format that it understands so that it can animate your drawing. All right, let's make one of these from scratch and hopefully everything will start to come together and make a little bit more sense. All right, let's start in this MVC directory. And as you can see, I've taken this different BVH skeleton, the one that's running there. I've just made a copy of that to call it CMU 3DS instead. As mentioned, I'm absolutely rubbish at 3D. So what I did was I went over to this CMU website. There's lots and lots of things here. We've got a link there to CG Speed. I can download lots of captured formats. Oh, excellent. All right, so we go over to CG Speed here. There's motion captures, and the ones I downloaded were these DAZ-friendly ones at the top. You click on there, you get loads of files. There's tutorial videos, but you can just ignore those. So here are loads of zip files from 01 all the way down to 144. So there's something like 3,000 odd options in there for animations. If we go over here, so here's my CMU directory. I downloaded everything into there. Now, when you download it, I just downloaded this first one here. It's only 45 meg, so you can just have a quick test and a quick look. And you get this CMU mocap spreadsheet as well. So if we crack that open, have a quick look at this one. And there you go. So here you've got an index of what the different motions are. So you've got motion 1, the playground, walking, running, jogging, sword play, all that sort of stuff. You scroll all the way down there as you can see, all right, there's about 2,500 odd random walking, running, so all sorts of motions already pre-recorded for you. And I thought, yeah, I'll have those rather than trying to do one myself, but I will show you how you can do one yourself as well later on. All right, so that's where I got my test animations from, and I'm going to be using one of those. I'm going to be using a jumping one just to make it quite obvious what this thing is doing, which is converting 3D motion into 2D motion. Alrighty, let's close those back down again. So we're having a look at this one here. So this is basically just a copy of that other one, but I've added a few bits and pieces in. So remember, from that configuration file, we can add floors and do retargets and things. So here's a couple of options. So I'm adding a floor just so you can see what the floor looks like. And I'm also adding this retarget BVH. So you can see the original BVH in there as well. It does look a little bit messy, but you can sort of see what's going on more if you can see the retargeted BVH in there as well. Character 2, all right, so the character I'm using instead is I'm using character 2. So there is the character, that's the mask for it. There's the texture. So I'm going to be animating that character. That's character 2. It's already done for us, so nothing really to change there. The next one is this motion configuration file. So here we're going over to the motion directory. So back into config, back into motion. And here I'm using CMU example. Again, you can just copy one of these to make your file. And now I've got all these options in here. Most of the time, you don't need to change anything other than the file path and the end frame index. File path is where I've got that animation. So remember, I downloaded them all into CMU and then unzipped it, and it's got it in there. So there's 02, 02, 04, which happens to be a jumping motion. You'll be able to see that alongside the animation. So there's the actual BVH file that I'm using. Now, if you don't know how many frames it's got, like me, because you've just downloaded this, you can actually edit the BVH file because they're all text as well. And down here, if you search for frames, you can see it's got 483. So if I go over there, that's the end frame index. So I've set those two. I've changed the file path to my BVH animation. I've set the end frame index, and we're almost done. We're almost done. There we go. So I've got character. I'm using that character. I've got the motion, which I've downloaded from that CMU website. I've got the CMU retargeter, which we've already seen. We don't need to change that. I'm going to use the video renderer, and I'm going to create a video called CMU example video.mp4. So how do we run all those commands? Exactly as it says there. So let's copy and paste that, and we'll do this into example as well. Whoops, example.py. Pop that in. Paste. Now remember, my name was slightly different because I'm using a different configuration file. So my configuration file over here in MVC is called this. So it has underscore CMU on the end. Let's copy and paste that. So I have my file exactly the same name. Copy, go over here, and we'll stick that in on the end and a paste. And there we go. All right. So now that's exactly the same, but as you can see, I'm just using my special config file instead. All right, let's see what happens now. So we've got Python example.py. And after a few seconds, there it is. If we scroll down now, see we've got that CMU example video. All right, let's have a look. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, there it is. There it is. It's jumping. Now these little squares, remember I added the skeleton. Now, as you can see, that skeleton is actually sideways. So it's not looking directly at the camera as you might expect. It's actually looking over to the right and then jumping up and down again. But that doesn't make any difference because it's translating the 3D motion into 2D motion. So I've just left those boxes on there to show you what it looks like in 3D, and you can see the 2D equivalent there. Now we've done pretty much everything it can do. We've had our own pictures rigged automatically by running that Docker thing through it. And we've done our animations that you can turn any BVH into the particular rig for these 2D characters. The only thing left on there is creating your own very custom BVH files, exactly like he says there. So you can record yourself doing a silly dance using Rococo. If we have a look at that, we go over here. Now it looks like a bit of a nightmare, but I think if you go over to Rococo Video and then try out free mocap, you can then upload your video there. So here I've got an example video. You can upload that video, but you can't actually download the BVH from there. You then have to go back instead and install the software which you can then export the BVH from. So it's a little bit of a faff if you want to do your own videos. And I also found that when I was creating the retargeting config file from Rococo, it didn't necessarily work straight away either, as it got confused by the number of frames. But as you can see over here on this issue number 106, basically you have to edit the BVH file. These are all text files, remember. So search for the number of frames and then add 1 to it. And then you won't get this BVH frame num specified and found do not match error. But that's only if you're using Rococo. You have to export it as a Mixamo style skeleton, and then you can use his config there. That also gave me some errors as well, as the right hand index didn't seem to exist. So that bit is perhaps to be taken with a pinch of salt. I think it may be ever so slightly out of date or somehow got a different BVH config file. There's a couple of other things you can do as well. I'm not going to dive into these too much as it's already quite long and complicated, but you can add additional character skeletons. Just go and have a look at those config files there to see how you do 6 arms or if you've got funny legs. Also, if you think that was a load of fun, then you may be interested in this video as well.